This is a league on the come-up. They want to show it here today on the field against the Big Ten. Back to you.
Ollie, thank you. He gets across the 20 and out to the 21-yard line before...
We've been quite excited to dive right into EA Sports College Football 27, what with that promising dynasty overhaul and so much more to offer already on the table ahead of its July 9th, 2026 release. But the true enthusiasts among us are probably already enjoying MVP Plus Early Access, with Deluxe Edition and MVP Bundle Early Access set to begin on July 6th, 2026. It's been long enough for early impressions of the game to begin circling around, and we've been quite thrilled with what's been a general positive tone to a lot of them. We knew that this one was going to be a big swing, but now that it's in the hands of a few players who love the franchise enough to pay a premium on a head start, the conversation has moved from its legacy to what it's actually bringing to the table. Those early impressions by players on Reddit and other forums point to a gameplay loop that's improving in ways that matter, making it to where this one could end up being stronger than expected. So let's dive right into why we feel that that's the case here. Timing and style. Like the athletes you're going to be controlling, College Football 27 is now beginning its journey at the peak of its pre-launch window. Early access to the game has begun to generate impressions and player reactions that will soon become the foundations of its narrative, while acting as a self-sustaining hype engine right up until the global launch. The game's now directly in the hands of the people who it was made for, which takes praise past what EA has been pitching, to be replaced by opinions that authentically carry more weight. They're not full impressions, obviously, which are sure to come along fairly quickly in the next few days. But the kind of early access feedback a game like this one gets is certainly a strong indicator of where College Football 27 is headed. The comparison with Madden 27 is inevitable, but College Football 27 is selling a different fantasy. Madden's focus is different, and the resulting experience is about the NFL product itself. But CF27 goes beyond just picking the best athletes and teams. It's about building an entire program while contending with variables like loyalty, budgets, reviving reputations, building them, and eventually making your chosen alma mater a powerhouse that other teams would think twice about taking on. It brings a sense of identity and legacy building that makes it a more addictive option, while its mechanics have been strong enough to sell a gameplay loop that supports its vision very well. And that's where the early impressions that are coming in count, as they're painting a picture that aligns with a lot of what was already expected of CF27, while bringing interesting new wrinkles into the current discourse around it. Gameplay feels more deliberate. At the end of the day, an athlete or professional coach is always going to hope that their present day was ever so slightly better than the previous one. But as a new addition to the franchise that's been aiming to bet big on everything that's good about it, CF27 carries the weight of every aspiring athlete or coach looking to become a thriving part of its player base, and keeping it alive by enjoying all that it has to offer. It's quite symbolic if you really think about it, and the only way that that works is if the gameplay loop on offer does its job well. Well, chatter about the game from players, which isn't an indicator of the game's quality on its own, points to what we're noticing from a few hours with the game. There's a lot of praise being directed at the running and a player movement system that feels more deliberate than before, a less spammy approach to games, systems designed to make football IQ matter more into the game's balancing, pre-snap controls, and better defensive options all this time around. We already knew that defensive playbooks were being expanded quite significantly, with 22 new ones being added to give us all more options to choose from. It seems that it's a move that's being well received, with early player reactions to it praising tighter coverage, meaningful defensive adjustments, improved CPU behavior, and better pursuits. Of course, instances of CPU play calling, familiar AI issues, and edge pressure have also been pointed out. But if those early impressions hold, it's definitely a huge win for the overall experience that's on offer. It changes the way offensive options must be used, giving a fresh new layer to an experience that runs the risk of feeling too familiar after a couple of annual iterations. It's often where football knowledge and the presence of mind to execute inventive plays comes in as a valuable advantage and a layer of immersion that makes each facet of the experience shine brighter as a result. It affects the challenge on offer, how realistic the simulation can feel, completely switches things up on the online play front, and is an opportunity to move past broken plays with creative solutions. All of these are parameters that are important to a sports simulator, and in one like CF27, they're sure to work in tandem with everything else it's bringing to the table to be a solid base upon which the franchise itself could be building its future. This one is more than a list of gameplay improvements, and it's important to consider its big guns too. Familiar modes with fresh touches. We've spoken at length about how the new and improved Dynasty mode is potentially the biggest addition that this one is bringing to the franchise formula. That hasn't changed, even in light of all the new information, since it's where the core of the experience resides. It's where CF27 has long-term replayability, with its program identity and limited resource availability making the simulation part of things go past merely looking at a single season's worth of performances. There's already player feedback about tougher rebuilds and more meaningful choices being a part of things, but we're going to confirm those with a full launch review before we can comment on that. But there's also Road to Glory to consider, which takes over the personal side of the Dynasty fantasy that its respective mode handles. The deep dives that EA has given us so far indicate there's a lot to like here, and new positions like the Edge Rusher are very interesting additions. Position-specific mechanics are a thing now, and they automatically make things more engaging and immersive where the mode could have felt a little more passive in its previous iterations. We've also got to remember that the franchise is finally available to PC players at launch, which is another reason to believe that this year is going to be different for the franchise, as it makes a bold play at the fame and fortune it makes you chase down in your role as part of its world. A fun touch that we really appreciate is Mascot Mashup, a fun returning facet that we found makes playing mascots feel automatically personal, and just a nifty addition that has us spending way more time with it than, well, we expected in the past. We're hoping things are even better this time around. Optimistic yet careful. That's exactly what we're advising as things stand, as there are a few players who reportedly feel like the game is a significant update, but could fall short of the reinvention that we're all hoping it's going to be. There are also concerns about monetization problems on Ultimate Team, and of balancing NIL and Dynasty to ensure long-term viability. AI issues and CPU play calling are factors that need extensive testing before it can be established that they're a serious flaw or a minor annoyance. Those problems can easily pile up and derail even the best of the game's new additions, becoming beacons for criticism rather than minor details that fade away in the grand scheme of positives to love about this overall experience. Of course, there are going to be updates and post-launch support, but early impressions matter, and that's probably even more so for a game that's already this popular. As is the case with EA titles, it's always good to wait for the entirety of the game's community to begin engaging with it, as that's usually where the cracks begin to show. But things are looking undeniably good for a title that seemingly strived hard to set itself apart, earning our goodwill in the process. How much of that effort stands to be validated is still up in the air at this point, but we're thinking that College Football 27 has some momentum in its favor. We're already working on a full review of it all, and you can be sure we'll be answering all of your burning questions in that one. So until then, perhaps we might meet again on the field. And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at GamingBolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.